Hey guys, I'm just going to do a quick video here. We did the Commitment to Action webinar today. And I did have an opportunity to speak, which was nice. It felt good. Basically, nothing really came out of it, as you can expect. I did have an opportunity to address Chief McFee and some of the other officers. He did comment briefly on my topics, which were specifically regarding public photography, the constitutionality of public photography, and the use of the Alberta Trespass to Premises Act, which he's using as a carte blanche to get around anti-carting laws. I also had an opportunity to speak briefly to the situation of Stephen Nguyen, who was murdered by Edmonton police when he produced a cell phone, which I believe he was using to take pictures of the police officer who had drawn his weapon. So I did have an opportunity to address them. There were quite a large number of EPS staff in the meeting, and it was it was good to hear from other people in the community. I even saw the lady, if you guys remember the audit that I did, where I was passing out some bottles of water to some street preachers, and a couple of ladies all decked out in rainbow flags showed up with some speakers and started trying to drown them out. But anyways, one of those girls was at the meeting as well, and she had some things to say and got pretty emotional about it as well. So at the end of the day, it was a pretty diverse crowd, but everything from people involved in addressing homelessness, affordable housing, to people who were involved in different types of community outreach and social services, to ordinary lay citizens, and then just people who wanted to listen in and just sort of hear people's stories and hear if the Edmonton police had any response to that. So I think that it was productive from that point of view. I did get to meet some cool people, and I want to especially shout out Randall. I'm not going to say any more than that, but Randall, thank you so much for coming in there and addressing in the comments about the EPS Service Directive SD 21-015, which is the new illegal policy. It's not a law, but they'll use that as a justification to beat you up if you take pictures in an Edmonton, City of Edmonton police lobby, or in certain interactions which are very vague with the police. Basically, in other words, in any situation where the police doesn't like you taking pictures, they will now arrest you and use that policy to cover their crimes. So I just want to say thanks to Yassine, who was responsible for that meeting. There's a lady T who spoke emotively about how she had grown up in the UK, and she doesn't understand why they use live ammunition in the police, because in the UK they actually use batons, and so it was so hard for her to understand the concept of shooting somebody with lethal force where they don't return to their moms. As you hear some police sirens in the background outside my window, but there were some emotional stories, and it got me realizing that there's a lot of people with untold stories regarding the EPS. So I was not able to corner Chief McFee to acknowledge the constitutionality of public photography. In fact, he was standoffish, basically accused, in a roundabout way, accused me of not knowing my facts when I stated that Stephen Nguyen had been shot after producing a cell phone. Maybe I'll post one of the articles in the newspaper where that information was brought out. But even Chief McFee was not aware of that information, so he says. So, the fact that these guys are going around shooting people for taking their pictures, arresting people for taking their pictures, and really don't even know what the follow-up is on it, it just goes to show we've got a long ways to go. And I hope that by bringing that topic up and by meeting some of these people here today, I can get more involved in the community and bring this further into the light, anywhere from ordinary people in the public all the way up to city councilors and MPs like Jasveer Deol, who you see on your screen right now. I mean, these are people who had no idea that these things were going on in our city. And I think that I learned as much as what I shared, and I definitely feel a lot of people responded directly to some of the points that I brought up And I did, in the end, I did try to let them know that I was not anti-police, and that I have met a lot of wonderful officers, and I believe that pointing fingers at each other is not the way out of this. I believe the way forward is by building a bridge, and we can't do that until we start trusting the police, and we can't trust the police when they are untrustworthy, when they are breaking the law, when they are not standing by their oath to the Constitution, which they swore by when they chose in their hearts to become police officers. And that's the thing about police or people in the military that always gets me, that gives me respect, is for somebody to decide that they're going to put themselves in harm's way to protect somebody else. That is a noble and heroic feeling and thought in your head and in your heart and soul. To do that, to put yourself in harm's way for others, is extremely noble. And I believe most of the time that police officers started with that noble intention, and then became jaded over the years, partly through poor leadership. So we have major changes that we need to make. I'm not going to stop my fight, and I'm certainly not going to stop photographing, even if they murder me. All right, save this video, because there's a real chance that I will be murdered, maybe even in the coming weeks, as I continue to do my audits, going back to the same place where they threatened me, the same places where they arrested me, going back to those locations and filming again. I will not be bullied into putting down my camera. So let's continue to put pressure on these guys, all right? And I'm going to let you guys know if there's more of these webinars. I got a large number of different possible things planned for the show, for the channel over the next little while, okay? So I don't want to say anything because nothing's for sure, but I've got things on the go, okay? So check back in regularly, because there's going to be some interesting interviews, some real life audits, some back to the grassroots audits, maybe some arrest videos. I know that entertains you guys. Hopefully not, but for my sake. But at any rate, there's going to be more of those kinds of things in the future. So, and then I've got my court case coming up in May. If anybody is interested in joining me in the courtroom that day as witnesses, that would be awesome too. It's open, as far as I know, it's open to the public. I'm going to double check on that, but as far as I've been told along the way, I've called a couple of times to confirm that, and it should be open to the public, so you should be able to go in there and sit in the audience and watch justice taking place, or lack of justice taking place. So if anybody is interested, let me know, and I would be happy to have you guys down there for support and as witnesses to what takes place in that courtroom. Hopefully everything will go well. I really don't have a top tier lawyer. I don't have a proper lawyer. So if anybody knows a constitutional lawyer that might be interested in the case, or even a legal, what do you call them? Not legal aid, but what do you call them? The non-lawyer legal guys. What do you call those guys? Anyways, if anybody knows somebody who's good who might be interested in taking this case, just might know a little bit more of the fine points of law, so that I don't have to just deal with duty counsel or legal aid. They'll just give me some crap, some crappy lawyer. So if anybody knows somebody, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, that's all for today, guys. Thanks for joining me. Like I say, nothing really getting done out of this commitment to action group, but I did meet some cool people, heard some great stories, and much respect to all of those people who shared tonight, sometimes emotionally, about their interactions with the police and how they wish for a better day where we didn't have to be afraid to take a picture with the police, where we didn't have to feel doom every time a police officer approaches us. And I'm hoping that if we can continue on these paths, maybe somehow we can start building that bridge again. All right, thanks guys for joining me. I'm Film Canada Press. Peace.